We all know the voice, the squint, the .44 Magnum. For 60 years, Clint Eastwood has been the definition of tough. But legends aren't just born. They are forged in whispers, rumors, and stories that sound too wild to be true. Today, we're pulling back the curtain. We're counting down the stories that made producers faint, co-stars terrified, and fans question if Clint was actually superhuman. From surviving plane crashes to punching out sharks, these are the tales no one believed, until we found the footage. Let's start with the political chapter. In 1986, this Hollywood icon was elected mayor of Carmel by the Sea. Sounds like a publicity stunt, right? Wrong. The town was in a legal battle over development, and the residents were fed up. They asked Clint to run, as a joke. But Clint took it seriously. He wasn't a celebrity figurehead. He actually walked the beat and handled civic complaints personally. The unbelievable part? He once held a press conference exclusively to argue about a problem with local ice cream shops and their pricing. He eventually stepped down after 2 years, citing that the $200 a month salary wasn't worth the headache of potholes. But he got the zoning laws changed. It proved that when Clint runs for office, he isn't just blowing smoke. Dean Martin were giving him a hard time on set, treating him like just another extra. Clint didn't back down. He squared up to Sinatra and reportedly told him to take a hike. Nobody believed a young nobody would stand up to the chairman of the board. But witnesses confirmed it. Clint didn't get fired. He got respect. That refusal to be intimidated is what carried him through the decades. Here is one that sounds like pure Hollywood fiction. During the filming of The Eiger Sanction, a climbing movie notorious for its dangerous stunts, Clint was hanging off a cliff by a single rope. The stunt coordinator yelled, "Cut!" but Clint kept climbing. When they finally got him down, they asked him why he didn't stop. His response? He said the rope looked frayed, and he wasn't going to trust the crew to lower him safely. He'd rather climb to safety on his own than rely on the safety equipment they provided. That day, he effectively fired the stunt department and started doing almost everything himself. He broke his ankle on that film and just kept walking on it. Let's talk about the silent treatment. Clint is famous for talking to empty chairs, but on set, he is infamous for talking to no one at all. On the set of The Outlaw Josie Wales, the studio executives flew in to tell Clint he was doing the movie wrong. They demanded he reshoot half the film with more dialogue. Clint listened patiently, then told them, "The movie is finished. If you don't like it, you can take my name off it." He then walked off and didn't speak to the studio heads for the rest of the production. They blinked first. The movie became a classic. The silence wasn't rudeness. It was a calculated power move. Now a survival story. In 1973, Clint was flying in a small private plane when the engine failed mid-flight over the Pacific Ocean. The pilot was panicking, calling Mayday. Most actors would be screaming. Clint reportedly leaned forward, looked at the ocean, and said, "Well, we're going in." The pilot managed to ditch the plane in the water just off the coast. They escaped onto a life raft and were rescued an hour later. Clint walked into the office the next day without mentioning it. A producer only found out a week later and nearly had a heart attack. Clint shrugged it off. He didn't see a reason to scare anyone with a near-death experience. This next story is about the making of Dirty Harry. The script called for Clint to say the line, "Make my day." We all know it, but the studio hated it. They thought it was cheesy and demanded he say, "Go ahead, shoot." Clint refused. He threatened to walk off the movie if they changed a single word. He insisted that the line had to be delivered flat, with no emotion. The producers thought he was ruining the film. We all know how that turned out. That line is now in the National Film Registry. Clint didn't just deliver the line. He bet his career on it, and won. Here is a story that film historians still argue about. During the filming of Escape from Alcatraz, Clint had to do a scene in the freezing, treacherous waters of the San Francisco Bay. The crew had a safety boat and divers standing by. Clint swam the mile-long route to the shore. When he got there, the divers were nowhere near him. He had swum so fast and so quietly that the safety team lost him. They thought he had drowned. Clint climbed out of the water, looked at the frantic producers, and asked, "What's for lunch?" He didn't even look tired. The man was 50 years old at the time. Finally, the story that absolutely nobody believes until they see the archival footage. In the early days of his career, before he was famous, Clint was a lifeguard in the military. A soldier had been pulled under by a shark attack. Clint dove in, punched the shark repeatedly in the nose until it released the soldier, and dragged the man to shore. He saved the soldier's life. The military wanted to give him a medal. Clint declined. He said, "I was just doing my job." He didn't tell anyone in Hollywood for 40 years. The only reason we know is because a military historian dug up the records. Clint Eastwood is the last of a dying breed. He doesn't do it for fame. He doesn't do it for money. He does it because he refuses to lose. These stories aren't exaggerations. They are a testament to a man who has walked through hell and didn't bother to stop for a picture. So the next time you watch him squint at a bad guy, remember, he's not acting. That's just Clint, and that is the greatest story of all.